£97 million of debts have led to hassles at the bank for Chelsea. The last thing they need is negative interest from their foreign investments. Costly withdrawals mean a chance tonight for reserves to cash in on a free market.
I'm free to be whatever I choose, and I'll sing the blues if I want. I'm free to say whatever I like. If it's wrong or right, it's alright.
The build-up's been dominated by security fears and the 6 Chelsea players who haven't travelled to Israel. Tel Aviv's 18,000 capacity Bloomfield Stadium plays host to tonight's UEFA Cup second round first leg clash. An under-strength Chelsea taking on an unknown quantity in Hapoel Tel Aviv. Good evening. Tonight I'll be playing a neat 1-2 with former Chelsea golden boy Pat Nevin. Well, we'll be hearing from Pat in just a minute. But first, as you're well aware, this game has been making the front as well as the back pages this week. Our reporter Steve Lee has been with the depleted Chelsea squad since they flew out yesterday morning.
Israel is above all a land of contrast, the warm October sun, the blue Mediterranean, life going on in the same way as it's always done. But it's still a land at war, and the headlines in Tel Aviv today brought home the point, a national day of mourning after yesterday's assassination. The Chelsea players got a taste of it with a heavy media and police presence at Ben Gurion Airport, but there was minimal security as they trained at the Bloomfield Stadium, their hosts anxious to correct the popular image of Israel.
I do hope that by the time the team would leave here tomorrow and a large group of journalists who has accompanied them, people would understand that this is a totally different picture than the one that is being viewed through television on day-to-day basis, which is taking only the evil sides of it.
The Chelsea players know they're in a delicate situation. Most have enjoyed their welcome and must now banish all security worries.
For me, my concerns are about football, and I know that it's my duty to play football as best as I can, in every occasion, and this is another occasion for me to express myself.
The Chelsea coach knows too that he must set an example to his players.
There is a lot of people who live in Israel and live very well, and then I don't think about the security, the police. I think only on my job. I am very focused to the match.
Tel Aviv, like all Israeli cities, is accustomed to tight security. Tonight, 240 police and 200 stewards will be on duty in a predicted crowd of 15,000.
Steve Lee reporting. Pat, would you have gone?
Well, Ken once dragged us off to Baghdad when I played for Chelsea, so this might be looked upon as an easy trip. I would have gone, unless my wife told me not to, and then I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have blamed it on her. So it may well be family problems with most of the players that haven't gone.
And that's the case with some of them, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Marcel Desailly, we know, is injured, but then Petit, for one, his girlfriend is expecting.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, there was a lot of negative stuff said in the press about it. I think it's very, very unfair. Family life is more important than football, and if you know, your family feels as if you shouldn't go and you've got young children, I can see that that's a considerate way to be. But as I say, I think the players, they probably all would have liked to go themselves. It isn't the fact that they are scared or they're yellow, but you know, if it's a family decision, it's a family decision.
What's interesting about it, though, is what's going to happen when this game's over and they come back. Do you think it's going to cause a bit of a split in the squad?
Yeah, well, the financial analogy that you had at the top of the programme, I think their stock has dropped. And those, well, you see the headlines there, they're fairly negative stuff about the 6, and I think that's a wee bit a ridiculous one, that one with the 2 thing. I think
that's harsh,
that's
isn't it?
fairly offensive, that. I mean, I really don't think that's fair at all. But yeah, you think when they come back, maybe the Chelsea fans and maybe some other players, I think for a very, very short time there'll be some words said. But if they get through this like they should, and it should be a fairly easy tie for them, and I say tie, not game, tie for them, I think it will be fairly quickly forgotten.
OK, Pat, well, as you saw from those headlines, Claudio Ranieri has been fairly outspoken. Well, for the manager's view, we're going to cross to Tel Aviv now, and to Joe Royle. Joe, where do you stand?
I think, Steve, you have to trust the authorities, and if they're happy with the security, you have to go on their side. I can equally see that there's a personal side, and if a player's worried about flying, well, it's not a great time to fly for them.
So you think they should have gone?
I personally would have tried to persuade them to go.
All right, Joe, thanks very much indeed. We'll be hearing from Joe Roll obviously later. Now, 145 fans have made the trip to Tel Aviv, and it's cost them £400 a head to do it, with 6 players at home. How do the fans feel about the so-called Chelsea Six?
I think some of them are cowards, you know. If we can come out here, why can't they? They're getting paid, some of them, £40,000 a week, and it just shows their commitment, I think, really. And I think if they're not prepared to come out here, then they should pay some of our fares.
They've got their own reasons. There's a few young kiddies at home like Graham Lasai. They want to stay at home, let them stay at home.
I think they're all men with families and they've got to make their own choices, really, haven't they? It's a dangerous world at the moment and you've got to respect them for it.
A healthy mix of views from the travelling Chelsea sport. Right, we've got details of our competition coming up for you at half-time, by the way. If you can't wait that long to see it, 5 text page 495 will give you all the details. You can also try a luck at winning a great widescreen television on the Channel 5 website. Go to the address which you can see on your screen now. Well, for the travelling Chelsea fans who've made the trip, this is probably a European tie unlike any other they've experienced. How will events around this game affect the players' performance? Well, we'll find out shortly.
At all. We've had a brilliant day, just been allowed to do what we want, and we've really enjoyed it. So,
if you were going to have one player who doesn't play regularly playing for Chelsea tonight, who would you like to see?
Leon Knight. I've had a lot about your interviews and whatever. I've read a lot about him in the magazine and in the onside. I'd like to see him play. I'm seeing him play, yeah. He looks like got a lot of potential. I've him on Carlton Cole.
What made you come to tonight's game?
Well, I've been to all the other ones. I didn't even think twice about it. I mean, it's just another away game in Europe. As Andy said, we've had no hassle at all, less hassle than some other trips, and it's all been brilliant. So all we need now is to win.
Who would you like to see playing and doesn't normally play?
I'd like to see Stanic out there and fit, because I think he's a great player, and we just haven't seen the best of him yet.
What have you thought of security?
I haven't had any, you know, it's you know, compared with, say, Vicenza, it's been a lot better than that. And there they are. So, I mean, it's been no hassle at all. I mean, we're just walking around, everyone's really friendly. I mean, OK, there's a bit of extra stuff at the airport, but then that seems to be common sense. And it's not been awkward.
What have you done while you're here?
I had a look around the city. I mean, last night we had a few drinks. I mean, the Chelsea Village put on a do for us in the hotel. We had a few drinks, went out and had a look around the city. And today, yeah, we've been interviewed about 3 times by the Israeli sports TV today, and, you know, it's been really good. I've enjoyed it.
If you were seeing someone playing tonight who doesn't normally play, who would you like to see?
definitely, as Floyd said, Leon Knight, he did well in Bulgaria and he deserves another chance, and he's a promising prospect for the future. So again, Stanic in the side, you know, back to his best. Well, we haven't seen it yet, but hopefully.
Husband and wife team, and you actually stewarded a plane as a Chelsea representative on the way over.
Yes, we did, yeah. Very enjoyable.
What do you have to do?
We had to make sure the fans are in the right place at the airport at the right time, get them through immigration, check they all got through over here comfortably and had their food, everything on the plane, and everyone enjoyed the trip, and it was a really successful outing.
But you're doing it not as employees, but as Chelsea supporters?
Well, both and, yeah. I mean, I've been a Chelsea fan since 1976 and became a steward in 1988, and it's great to be here. I probably wouldn't have been out here otherwise, but I've been with a great bunch of lads and lasses on the plane, on the coaches, in the hotel. It's been a great atmosphere. We're looking forward to a good result tonight.
How many trips have you stewarded?
This is the 3rd trip I've done abroad. I did Stockholm, famous one, and did Barcelona, did one of the coaches last year. That was great fun as well. This is the 3rd one, and so far so good. It's been great.
What's been your greatest problem?
There hasn't been one on this trip, quite honestly. It's been well organised. The hotel's been marvellous. I know, I say this to all of Chelsea fans, people came away from Stockholm with a bad impression of the organisation. It wasn't Chelsea that night, it was decisions made by the Stockholm police. The organisation that Chelsea Village have put together has been absolutely fantastic. We've had no problems at all, not a great deal to do other than the normal routine stuff. It's almost been like a holiday, it's been great.
Hapoel Tel Aviv versus Chelsea. There's been so much controversy about this game. Chelsea are putting out a good side. 2 debuts, Mark Bosnich in goal, and Joel Kitmaraiki, a young 17-year-old centre-back. How will they do? There's only one way to find out. The full game here on Chelsea TV. Trevor Harris is your commentator. Come on, you Blues.